You know what? I don't think you people realize who the F I got in-house right now. This is the third of tonight. We have 3 tomorrow, 3 the day after, 3 the day after, 4 the day after, 5 the day after. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, boys and girls, but tonight we don't have any wrestler. We don't have any Joe Schmo. We've got the king of paradise in this house right now, stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the king of paradise himself, Nick Delta. Dude, thanks for taking the time, setting aside, kicking the peasants aside to talk to us, the peasants, if you will. Thank you so much, my man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on, Don. And yes, King of Paradise, for those who are not familiar with it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but that is for Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling down in East Haven, Connecticut. And even though the Toxic Terror, Danny Adam, recently stole my crown, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I am still the rightful King of Paradise.
And hey, and if you noticed, I didn't shy away from calling you the King of Paradise because we all know who the rightful heir is to that damn crown, and it's not Danny Adams. So we're definitely going to dive into that later on.
Oh, exactly.
Now, what we do here, it's just like a couple guys hanging out, talking wrestling to the fans, because this isn't for me. This is for all of us. We pull back the curtain a little bit because I'd like to kind of dive into maybe the behind the scenes of wrestling, all depending on how deep you want to get. If Nick Delta, King Nick Delta is even your real name, we might find that out. We might not. Who knows? But that's what I like to do. If you're up for that, I mean, maybe we could take a little run. I don't have any moonshine left because I drank it all with Ronnie Ribbs and Ref Bill Thompson. Ref Bill Thompson, screw him. Anywho, we just have fun. We take the lighter side of life because we got a lot of shit going on. So I want to start off with, how you doing? You, the fam, everybody good? The crown. I don't think you got the crown in possession, but is everybody okay?
The crown is unfortunately not in my possession because, again, Danny Adams stole that from me at the last alley fights. But everyone's doing well. My family's doing well. We're just doing what we can to try and survive this time right now. But trying to not go off the deep end so much, you know.
I've seen you go off the deep end with no virus intact, so that's also what we're going to be talking about later on. I mean, police. Like we need a virus with Nick Delta around, police. Man, Nick Delta, you've taken us fans on a ride. I mean, and I've seen you come up since day one, as I did with one Mike Gamble, the American Sumo. We're going to dive into it. We got so much to fucking dive into tonight. Oh, my God. Dude, you've taken me personally on a freaking ride and a half because of the evolution we talk about on Stirring the Pot of getting that niche of your character, trying to find what you want to do, who you want to be in wrestling, because it's not always the easiest task to do. And sometimes it's a journey. And boy, son of a bitch, have you taken us on a journey so far. So again, we like to talk about character, maybe see where you come from, how you got running, what you like to watch. We don't care if you watch porn on the side, just in wrestling, what you like to watch in general, stuff like that, you know, just kind of general guy to guy stuff. And I'd like to start with the very first day I ever met Nick Delta. I will tell you, I go up to the XWA Center, and we talk about the XWA Center because I fucking love that place a lot on this show. And the very first person that I ever met walking into those doors, because, hey, it was raining like a bitch out. I remember it vividly. And I drove up there on a whim with my old man. And because I take him to all the shows, he's retired. He don't got a fucking thing to do. So he hangs out with me going to wrestling, which is cool. I love that. But anyways, we go up there and I go, hey, Dad, it's kind of raining. I don't want you to melt because we know you're made of sugar. So let me go check out the scene. We'll come back and I'll see what's good. I walk in there, go get the old man. We come in. We were in there an hour early before the doors were even supposed to get open. And we're just hanging out, checking shit out, because when Nick Delta was like, yeah, you know, you are at the right place. And I go, what time you started? He goes, I don't know. Now, probably. Some shit like that. I don't remember the exact words. So we hung out like we owned the fucking place. It was totally empty. We go and find the 2 seats. There's not a damn soul in there. All of a sudden, about an hour later, here comes the crowd. And I'm like, wait, I think we got in a little early. But my point being of that whole long-winded part about XWA is, when I met you for the first time, you were a gentleman. You shook my hand. You introduced yourself to me. You were like, this is going to be a good time. I'm glad you're checking out the XWA Center. You weren't even a wrestler at that time. Could you please take us at that moment in time? Because I'm not that fucking bright. What year was that, and how long you been doing this? Because I met you when I believe you were a student at the XWA. Am I wrong?
No, you are not. You are absolutely correct. I was still training at the time.
Damn.
I was a.
I'm so sorry. I just got a notification and I'm an asshole. Let me turn this stupid thing off, because you know what? This is Nick Delta. He's the king. He can easily just whack me with his thing and the scepter, not his thing. Come on, boys and girls.
You're good.
Come on. All right. I'm sorry. I interrupted, sir.
All good, all good. So yeah, I was a couple of months into training at the time. That was 2016. I think that had to be around December of that year, I think, because it was one of the final throwdowns of the year. And that was the night I think we had 2 cage matches that night. It was Sully, which you're wearing his shirt, Sully Banger versus the Alpha Male. And I think the other one was Adrenaline Rush against the Minutemen.
Yes.
Yes. It's been a while since that place was packed wall to wall that night. There's standing room only. And it was a great, I think that was the last throwdown of the year. That was a great way to close out that year.
Yeah. It was, I think it was around December 25, because it was on December 25. It was around December 20 something, because I remember it being like right around Christmas area. And what caught my eye was, I float around on the Facebook. I try to find new places when I started getting into indie wrestling. And whenever I seen a picture of Adrenaline Rush and Minutemen next to each other with a cage, and it said cage ×2. And I go, Dad, we're going to fucking Rhode Island. Come on, let's go. He's like, for what? I go, there's a double cage match, and Adrenaline Rush and Minutemen are a part of it. He's like, hell yeah, let's take a ride up. I go, but it's a Thursday. He goes, I don't care. I'm retired. Let's go.
Perfect. Yeah, you came up at a great night for your first XWA event.
Oh, man, what a bang. Hey, no pun intended. What a banger. You see
yeah.
But, that place was spectacular, and it's evolved over a little bit of time, only over a course of a couple years. It's taken on a new look. It's gotten even better than it was when I first started going there, and it was freaking awesome when I was going there. Now, I would take a 2-hour drive. I would leave work, go get my dad, shoot up to Rhode Island, get back home, crawl into bed at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, then go to work. And I always felt like ass the next day on Friday, but I didn't care, because XWA took care of the fans, man. Every single time you guys put on a show, never failed, man. I always left satisfied at XWA. Now, with that being said, XWA seems to be your home, like period, home. Like that's your home base. That's where you train and all of that. Talk to us, to the fans, about what the XWA Center is like and who trained you, because there's some interesting names behind that.
Yeah, the XWA Event Center it's like a being in itself, I'd have to say. With the crowd, I mean, you've been to throwdowns, you've been to big events on the weekends there, so you see how the crowds are there, and it differs every single week with the Thursday crowd, because you never know what you're gonna get with all the people, and you see a lot of the regulars there, but then you see new faces come in and they may go away, they might come back. But then when it comes to a bigger event there, like we've had in the past, examples like the Rumble or another one, Toy Soldiers, DTA, et cetera, those larger crowds are like a different animal compared to the smaller Thursday nights, but they're still, overall, I think it's still a very intimate setting that allows everyone to kind of like be that, like you're all so close to each other and you're almost on top of the whole action in the ring. And I think that, especially when you get a really good, energetic crowd on a night there, that can really add to the overall aspect of the event itself. And then as far as who trained me, former Ring of Honor World Champion Matt Taven, also multi-time six-man tag champion Ring of Honor with Vinny Marseglia and TK Orion, formerly collectively known as the Kingdom, and then also former Kingdom member and current WWE superstar Mike Bennett, or as many other people would know him as, Mike Kanellis.
Mike K.
Exactly. But yeah, learning under them for almost, I think this year is going to be 4 years, I believe, for me. But I enjoy it a lot, and I have a lot of respect for all four of them.
Now, I was talking to one Mike Sumo, as I mentioned earlier. Mike, I call him all sorts of stuff. Sumo Mike, Mike Sumo, Gamble Sumo. It doesn't matter. He's all good with any of them.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes to the same thing.
And he mentioned those same names. And man, you guys and girls at the XWA Center just have something really special going on over there, because that's called the Kingdom School under the guidance of those men that you just described. And man, oh man, you've got to be in some amazing, the students up there that are coming out of that school. Nick Delta, the sumo. See, listen to me. The American Sumo, Mike Gamble.
Exactly.
Waves and Curls. You got Joey Bones and Jonathan Steele and Dex. Many. They just keep going on and on. What's it like being part of that class with the sumos, the Dexter Lewis and such like that?
It's awesome. It's like you really get to know, you get really comfortable with each other, obviously, because you're there with the same people so much and you're learning under the same tree. And then with all of those guys there, you get a little something different from all of them with each training session. Whether it's Taven running it, you're going to get something with, something different than when Vinny runs a session, and so on and so forth.
I heard Taven's just a little bit harder on the kids, just to give them that, just he's like the dad, if you will. He was described as the dad of the three.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a perfect description. But he does it because they're all hard on us in their own way, because they really care about wrestling, and it's their lives. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to pass on that knowledge to us, and they want to make sure that they teach us as best they possibly can. And they also don't want us to make them look ridiculous by messing up repeatedly and whatnot. So they try and instill good fundamentals, good values, strong basis in everything in wrestling right when you walk in the door.
And I mean, like you said, it's their livelihood. It's not like Vinny. It's not like the Horror King is sitting behind a fucking 7-Eleven counter serving people on the side when he's not wrestling. That's his job.
Yeah, and actually, I remember. The first time I actually saw Matt and Vinny wrestle was back in 2012. Ring of Honor came to Providence, and it was for Boiling Point was the event, and it was a 4-way match, the finals of the Top Prospect tournament that year, and it was Matt and Vinny, QT Marshall, and I believe Antonio Thomas in that match. And out of all four who walked out to the ring, Matt and Vinny caught my eye right away. It was the look that they had. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I feel like has been one thing that's really drawn me as in terms of wrestling, is a certain look for how somebody is in there. Just like I especially like playing the WWE games through the years. I love creating wrestlers, and like I've created whole promotions basically, and just I get really into it. Like sometimes I'll spend like maybe 10 minutes on someone. Sometimes I might go a little more in depth and try and get every little detail out so I can make it as much as I picture it in my mind.
How many variations of Nick Delta have you made?
Well, I've made one of me every single year, so
Okay. So
it's a lot. It's a lot.
as you're creating a character and trying to develop it, you're making that character in your wrestling games.
Yeah. Especially now that I'm in wrestling too. I like try and make myself look like I do when I'm in the ring.
Yeah. Are you jacked in the wrestling game? I mean, not to take anything away from you, but do you put a little bit of muscle on yourself?
Yeah, I put a little bit of muscle on.
I sure would, because I only weigh like 35 fucking pounds, you know?
Yeah, I think we all do that though.
Now, we're not going to go with the normal body. We're going to go with the bigger body.
Exactly. Yeah, a little slightly bigger, make myself, the shoulders get a little more size and whatnot.
Oh man! Now watching Vinny Marsaglia, I've watched him for many, many years,
Mm.
and I haven't been in independent wrestling for a whole lot of time before I met you. Actually, I'm a late bloomer in this local indie scene, if you will. But I've watched Vinny for a while, like from a distance. I knew of Northeast Wrestling, and you can view their stuff on High Spots, and there's always selling media and such. So, especially being in Connecticut, I could kind of follow him a little bit more than I could everybody else. And again, I wasn't like really into wrestling like that before. But watching Vinny Marsaglia go from where he was with that short cut, he had, a totally different look. He had the tattoos and stuff, not as many as now, holy crap.
Mm.
But watching his evolution of a character has been something to behold over the last few years. And seeing him now, wow. So
Yeah.
with that said, you've kind of done an evolution of your character. I'd like for you to maybe take the fans on a little journey, because I've seen them all. Maybe not firsthand, because I've been away from the XWA over a course of the last year and a half or so, maybe even a little bit longer. I hope it's not been that long. I feel like an asshole. But I would like you to maybe talk about the characters and what kind of brought you, maybe the transition from one to another, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out with, excuse me. I started out kind of like, I guess you'd call it the fallen frat boy kind of thing. And that's actually where my name comes from. My fraternity, Delta Tau Delta. So I'm an alumnus of the fraternity. Joined it my sophomore year of college. Had a few leadership roles in it while I was there. Actually worked for the fraternity right after I graduated. I was on the road for a year as a traveling consultant. So visited schools or chapters in various schools in a certain region. Mine happened to be Ohio to Minnesota, and just going there and helping out the chapters with their day-to-day operations and giving them tips on how they can improve it, so whatnot. And when it came time to choose a name, it was for the student battle royal at Breakout in 2016 for XWA, and Bennett was in charge of like wrangling everyone together for the Rumble or Battle Royal, and he looks at me, he goes, "You got a name?" And I was like, Nick Delta." He goes, "Perfect." So since then,
I took you for a ride, sir. I apologize. Holy cow.
Right.
This is a very low budget show, believe me.
It was a heck of a ride. Thank you. But anyways, so it's ever since that point it's just stuck with me. And I'd done that, kind of like incorporated a little bit of Greek life terminology into promos and whatnot. And my first set of tights were the long tights, and they had like the colors of my fraternity on it, which are purple, white, and gold. There were white tights, the lettering was all purple and gold. But so I had that and rolled with that for a while, and then switched over to black tights with like the same kind of the same look with the lettering and everything, and just started to try and get a little before when I started at first, I was like more loudmouthy and everything, which I was fine with, and it was different because I was able to be a heel, and I felt like it was different from who I am normally. But then when I switched over to the darker tights, it was more trying to get, okay, now I want to be this like badass crazy dude and everything, and tried that. And that's where I kind of moved into the what I called unpredictable wild card phase. Tried to make what I did something that like you don't think you'd see that from me in a match like every single time. How certain people have certain things they'll do throughout their matches. With that, like you'll see it at any point in the match from them. I tried to do something new each time, and then that got more and more, and I rode that one till about April of last year, I want to say.
Okay. Now, I hate to interrupt, but let's hit the Pahuze button real quick, like,
Sure.
because now you've just talked about three different characters and not a very long stretch of time. Why the evolution quickly like that?
Trying to switch myself up and just keep new things. If I felt that I was getting to a point where it was running stale with me, I wanted to switch it up and try something new, just so I could keep myself fresh and try and come up with new ideas.
Gotcha. Again, I hate to interrupt. Please continue.
No, that's fine. Yeah. And then that's actually what made me change my attitude last year. So I hit a point where for a couple of months, I was at this plateau with the unpredictable wild card for so long, and I was not happy with what I was doing. But it's also on myself for just limiting myself there, and I was like, I need to change. So I took a couple of weeks off in April to about mid-May, just kind of step back and let myself just breathe for a little bit and just think, what can I do differently? And then now it's to the person that you've seen since about May of last year till now, which is dude in cutoff t-shirt, wearing black jeans and boots. And one part of the reason why I switched up what I wear in the ring is because it took me so long to put my gear on. So it's just easier for me. That was my thinking. I'm like, oh, I'll just wear jeans and a t-shirt. This will be better.
Hey, at least he's honest, boys and girls. I mean, come on.
But also just kind of switched that up for myself. And now down at Paradise Alley and a few other places, I'm running as good guy or babyface, but XWA. Since I came back, I've been heel, and I've been having a lot more fun with that. Just overall in general, just feeling like I'm able to be more creative again with what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm back to being more in touch with channeling myself into who I am in wrestling.
Now, the babyface portion of Nick Delta, is he supposed to be presenting to the fans like, I'm a regular guy, jeans, cut off shirt, take the crown, put it aside. Before you were king, you were doing this thing. Is that to present to us, you're trying to relate, I'm one of the guys,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, that was the thought behind that. It's like it's what I wear. I mean, I don't wear cutoff t-shirts every day, but I'll wear like jeans and a t-shirt, like right, just like that, and it's just me. It's more comfortable for me, like because it's who I am and what I wear, like how I dress outside of wrestling, and I'm just like, well, I want to bring this in and kind of present like, yeah, I'm you, but it's a little different in my own way.
Right. Now they say that they don't kind of say. I think as fans, we see the longevity of a person that doesn't have to create something from scratch. May it be, like a crazy gear with all sorts of accessories and a wackadoo name and being over the top and being, all sorts of character wacky like that. When you can extend yourself, your Nick Delta, and you can kind of extend yourself and how you perceive, instead of creating this gigantic, whole thing from scratch. So yes, it's not easy to figure out what you want to do with it, but it's got to be just a little bit easier, like you said. And it's not even the dressing part. You're coming out and you don't have to portray something that you're totally not as Nick Delta with the jeans and such. So it's got to be a little easier to portray that. But then you're going back to the XWA and you're playing a heel or a bad guy. How the hell can you do that switcheroo thing, going from one promotion to the other like that?
Well, I'll say it as just to make myself laugh a little bit. There's fans that appreciate me in certain places, and then there's fans in other places that don't appreciate me, and I appreciate that they don't appreciate me. But reality, aside from that, it's two different opportunities for me to be creative in different ways in those realms. Is you can be creative a certain way, I think, as a babyface, and then also another way as a heel. And you can even, like, for me, I even try to like take things from both sides and kind of crisscross them at times, or try and crisscross them at times and see if they can work in the other realm.
Nice. You speak of fans that kind of don't like you, which would be more out in the Rhode Island area. That's your home base, Rhode Island. And again, kids, if you don't know where it is, and I know I've probably described this before, XWA Center, amazing place, 3 Bridal Ave, I can never do this, West Warwick,
Yes.
Rhode Island. Oh my God, I sweat every time Warwick. Every time
I say it like that too sometimes. I'll say Warwick. It just flows. It flows for me.
Yeah, get on the face page, get on the Twitter or whatever. Check this place out because it's good times. If you love wrestling, you'll love the XWA Center. But my point being on this whole mess is, as soon as I announced you yesterday, I got a couple of the Rhode Island guys out there. Now, this didn't come from me. This is, don't kill the messenger, okay? This is just a message from me, not from me, from others. They're calling you a bitch. What the fuck is going on, Mr. Nick?
Those are some people who have been upset by me because I've either beat them in wrestling or they just don't seem to like me, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to think how they want to. Or as I like to say, everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinion.
I've been thrown at a couple times, like, so I feel that, because I do say some stupid shit, and a lot of it, it's a bunch of garbage half the time, but it's just to jazz up the guys, and I don't know what the fuck I'm saying half the time, but man, we have some fun. And there's one thing as a fan that I never do, Mr. Delta, though. I don't swear. I don't like at you guys and girls. I don't like derogotize you guys and girls. I don't do that stuff, but I've seen it a lot, to be honest with you. Now, there was one course, and I'm not like excluding, like excluding, or however you want to put it, the XWA Center. But there was one time, man, there was a cantatata.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was a situation, we'll say.
Holy shit. Wow. I could never do that as a fan because I respect you guys and girls so much. Have you ever run into that crossing the line a little bit? Because, hey, we know independent wrestling is very tight on, like you said, on top of each other, and we're close to the action. You ever run into that crazy shit?
Not really. And going back to what I said, like, there's people who don't appreciate me. There's people who do appreciate me. I say that all in fun. I get a kick out of the fans wherever I am. And especially whether they're cheering me or booing me. And if I'm having a lot of fun with my match while that's going on, to me, it adds more to it and makes it more enjoyable. And I can really have a lot of more fun in that moment. But with experiencing some of the crazier sides of things, not really. I had a bit of a crazier experience a few months ago, but everything wound up being all good in the end, which was good. won't go too far into detail with it, but it was just,
It's okay.
those things happen, and I understand they do, and it's just, if something like that were to happen for me, then it's, or something like that does happen for me, then that's where I just pull myself aside and I just say, okay, here's how you can go about trying to avoid this situation down the road, or if this comes up again, here's how you can handle it in a different way, so on and so forth. I will say one fan who was there for my early days, he was there for a while too. He'd sit in a different part of the event center. He'd always give me flack and everything. It's whatever. I was heel. It didn't matter to me. And then he didn't go to the shows for a while. And then a couple months ago, I'm outside the ring and I hear this voice just chanting, "Hey, Delta, you suck." And I look up and I go, where's he been this whole time? He was back. He was in a different spot. So I just looked at him and I go, where have you been? And I just kept walking.
No,
I made myself laugh by doing that.
you just described to us, and I don't think you kind of realize how your story went. Was you're in the ring, you're performing, you're doing your thing. You hear us saying junk at you now and then, and you're hearing that, you're feeding off of it, you're using it for your performance. Okay, now maybe I can do this a little bit instead of this, because now that fan or those fans are over there cheering this or that. So you're actually hearing us as you're performing in the ring. That's not something that's easily worked into your performance or part of your job, because it's kind of part of your job is to hear us and kind of feed off of that to a degree, because then it makes that wrestling experience better for us, better for you, and better for the company all at the same time. But coming up, did you really hear us all the time? Because I'm to understand that it's something that needs to be developed.
Yeah, I would hear the fans. I wouldn't necessarily like pick up on everything that would be said most of the time. And most of the time it's like, oh, you suck, or yeah, like little chants like, let's go this way. But now I'm trying to, and especially once everything is done, I really want to try and listen more with the crowd, and just try and pick up on certain things that people are saying. And even before we all went into isolation, it was, certain thing. If someone says something, it's don't touch that, or someone else says something, it's okay. Let's have fun with this. And I've had a lot of fun with some people on certain things, and it was it's made me, when I get to the back, it's made me just laugh and just sit back and just be like, that was a lot of fun. I want that to happen again. Because it's those organic things that just happen and they come out of nowhere, and it can add to the situation.
Exactly. And that's why I kind of try to do discern the pot this way. So it doesn't, I don't want it to feel stuffy or stale or kind of like, the same old questions. I might be asking some of the same old questions, but maybe in a different fashion. And I just feel that it's a little more, like you said, it's a little more organic to just kind of hang out and talk like friends, So that's kind of the way I do it, because if I wrote shit down, man, oh my God, this thing would be horrible. Oh my God. I hope it isn't horrible, because they keep coming back and wanting to do these with you guys. You know what? You guys and girls are fucking amazing for wanting to sit with me, a dude with a phone, sitting in his room during quarantine when the whole never mind. But you know what I'm saying. You guys are amazing for wanting to do this stuff, because, I miss wrestling, and I know you guys and girls do too. And this was a way that I felt that I could reach out and talk to you guys and maybe share some stories with the people that are missing wrestling right now. So my hat is off to all you guys and girls for just wanting to come and sit and talk to me, man. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I was super happy when you messaged me about this. I jumped at it right away. You're pretty much my first fan in wrestling.
Oh, speaking of which, I am the first guy to start the Delta Dynasty, son of a bitch. I got that shirt. You know what? I wore this for a specific reason. I should have wore the Delta shirt. I'm not that bright. Again, I'm not that bright.
It's all right. It's all right.
Now,
but yeah, you're the first person to buy a shirt from me.
Yeah. Yes. Now the reason why I am wearing such a slick Sully Banger shirt, the guys when I first started going to XWA, there was a younger crowd. They were college kids, and they were doing this Sully section. And I kind of caught wind of it when it looked like fun. So I said something to them. All I did was say one thing, and they're like, "Hey, you want to hang out in the Sully section?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" So I became part of the Sully section, and we were having an amazing time. But what we haven't talked about Nick Delta yet is he was Ref Delta. He wasn't even Ref Delta. He was just Ref Nick at the time.
Yes.
Now, there was a storyline because he was a fave ref of mine, but then he started being a little pain in the balls, and he kind of was turning some screws, and he did it to one of my main guys, Sully Banger. He took his arm and he gave him a chop in the old Sully sack, and we fucking lost our shit. Give me a little run on that journey, because myself personally, being selfish right here, I want to know how fun that was for you.
Oh, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun with that. And I was going to say, some of my early matches were with Sully Banger. We had a nice little feud going on after that. I was refereeing a match between him and Two Buff, I believe. And mid-match, later on in the match, there was a distraction from the rest of Buff Inc. And you could say, I guess I showed my true colors with that and attacked Sully, and then officially aligned my services to Buff Inc. And that was my first faction, really. So rode with them for a while. We had Joey Bones as our servant for a couple of weeks, and he was trying to fight for his freedom, and it finally ended with I believe it ended with Bones versus Two Buff.
Whew.
And if Two Buff lost, then Bones was free, and that's what happened. And then afterwards, myself and Buff Dad attacked Two Buff, and because we were mad he lost, and then Alpha Male came out, and that was the formation of the Alpha Squad right there. And that went from one faction to the next.
You went from a referee, jumped in, started beating people up, got out of it, kind of transitioned into the Alpha Squad, kept beating people up. Dude, that story was putting us on a fucking roller coaster like I've never been on in a while, because we loved Sully, and they were building him up. And we were doing shit like, we were calling just a regular old suplex. We were calling it a Sully suplex. I'd go to the fucking my local weenie guy over here in the morning and grab breakfast in Connecticut, and I would order me up a Sully sausage burger for breakfast. I mean, I was Sully crazy, man. And then you pop them in the Sully sack, and we hated you. We just wanted to kick your ass so bad, and I loved every second of it. You took us on a great ride, man.
Yeah, thank you. And we actually had at one point, this was when I was in the early Alpha Squad days. Sully and I had a little no DQ match. That was the first one I had. He hit me in the back with a computer keyboard, keys down. So you could see the imprint that it left on my back. I joked you could type an email on my back for the next 24 hours. I hit him in the head with a empty water cooler jug. We had a bunch of stuff, but that was a lot of fun in that one too.
He has a promotion that he runs. It started as Prov Live, and now it's transitioned over into Wrestle Party. Holy shit, what a party! Literally, what a party it is over there.
And I've wrestled for him. I have. I've wrestled for him a couple of times.
Now, it's very wackadoo characters. Like, there's been like Isana's been a black cat, and they've like triggered her with catnip. The Buff Dad has, and stuff like that. Did you take Nick Delta in it, or did you become a character in there?
I took Delta in there.
Okay.
So I was still myself there, but that's a whole different crowd than your typical wrestling crowd, because it's a lot of people who don't really go. It's about trying to get a casual fan, and it's a completely different environment. It's very experimental. And it's very like XWA Center is an intimate setting. That's also very intimate too. It's in a black box theater in Rhode Island, and that's totally different. I think the last time I wrestled for Wrestle Party was last January. I want to say we went up to the Cape for there was a collegiate theater festival going on there, and we had a show one night. Like it was like a Wednesday night, I think, and that crowd was massive. These are all college theater kids, probably have never watched wrestling in their lives, or have seen it and aren't fans of it at all, and they ate everything up. A shoulder tackle made them go nuts. It was crazy.
Hey,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are the fans you kind of want at times. Is like, phew, just put me over, baby.
Exactly. I actually won a 4-way match that night. It was me, Ike, Big Bear, and Bo Douglas.
Are you shitting me?
No, I am not. That was the match. That was something.
Holy crap! I've had Bo Douglas on here. I will never, ever, not one more time in my life say that Bo don't know. That MFer, Bo knows. That dude is. Wow. I always chant Bo don't know. I can never do that again. And I think we kind of made a pact. If I ever yelled at him as a fan, I think he's just gonna drop kick me real quick. Like I think. I think, or a clothesline rather, a clothesline probably. That's more his style. But yeah, and Big Bear, holy shit, I had him on here, dude. You got in the ring with fucking Big Bear. You're crazy. You're crazy. Now the Nick Delta character is taking you from Rhode Island home base. You've how do we say, spread your wings or what have you. And you've moved your way into Connecticut, which for me, the first time you were ever in Connecticut, I popped like a fucking mark and a half because I'm like, Nick Delta in Connecticut? Yes. And it was at Paradise Alley Pro. I believe that's when you first started in Connecticut, was at Paradise Alley Pro. Is that correct?
On a regular basis, yes. I think I had done 1 or 2 battle royals for Northeast prior to that.
Oh yes, that's right.
But when I first Paradise Alley got me my first like regular bookings in Connecticut, and that's been a lot of fun for me too. I really enjoy going to that place.
I kind of put that little stint with the court out of my brain because I cannot stomach that court. Oh my God, I hate them guys so bad. And when I seen you with them, I looked at my dad and I go, you know what? Fuck Delta. I'm never gonna, you know what? I'm not even gonna stalk his face page anymore. Screw him, you know? So you kind of reminded me of something because I take that part of Delta. I don't even think about that. I can't stand the court. Oh my God.
Yeah, after Bacon gave me a German there, I was like, okay, no more court stuff for me. This is gonna happen.
That's somebody you don't want to take a suplex from. Holy
no. I was hurting.
Now, must have been a lot of fun to be working in the Northeast Wrestling because their crowds, they come out in droves, man. They're not afraid to chant. They're not afraid to boo. We have good times at Northeast Wrestling.
Oh, they're so much fun. I've had the opportunity to wrestle a few matches for them. And even just going to, I do a lot of ring crew for them too. And just going to those shows and just watching the crowd and just, I love listening to them just because it's a different environment. Again, every place is going to be different no matter what. And I love watching the crowds and all those because you get to see what makes them tick. And
then it kind of gives you, it helps your tool bag out, if you will. Like we were talking earlier about that connection of what to listen for, what's again, we're fucking sheep. We're very easy as fans. We trigger like that. You could probably fucking yell urine out and we'll start chanting urine. Who knows? We're just easy. I mean,
there are some places that would probably do that.
Now you've made your way into Paradise Alley Pro. You've had a nice little run in there. Now, not only have you had a nice little run, the crowd has warming up to that Nick Delta character that you're bringing in there with the black jeans, the shirt, the jean jacket. I'm digging it. And there's one kid in there. He chants for a lot of the good guys in there. And man, does he love chanting Delta.
Yes, he does. Yes, that kid's great. That's the first time, one of the first few times that I went there. I think it was 2 years ago. I went to Friday night alley fights, and I know you were there, and I had about 10 of my friends and fraternity brothers from college there, because where I went to college, Sacred Heart University down in Fairfield, that's about a half hour away from East Haven. So I told them, like, yeah, I'm gonna be wrestling here tonight. And then when my music hit and I burst out the curtain, I got the loudest reaction I'd gotten up to that point. And I was like, oh God.
Wasn't that fucking awesome? Because dude, they charged that chant and it helped us. And we went right along with it. Delta, dude, and they were like loud and shit. It was awesome, dude.
That was unreal. It's still one of my favorite reactions I've ever gotten.
Now I am so glad we talked about that night, because I'm gonna fast forward to, let's see, where was I? I went to SmackDown with my daughter and her husband. This was last year, maybe a little bit longer, and it was at the Mohegan Sun. And I ran into, shit you not, 3 of your brothers at the casino. So
really?
I'm walking with my kid and her husband to take off from the event, and I hear, hey, aren't you Don Kincaid? And I turn around and I go, why, fuck yeah, what's good? Like that. And they go, you're that dude at the PAPW shows. Delta. Dude, we're in the fucking casino, as like in the walkway. We're making traffic walk around us while we're chanting your fucking name in the casino. My daughter and her husband just continued walking. They're like, I don't want to deal with that madman. I literally lost my family chanting your name with your fucking college brothers.
That's awesome.
Like, holy shit. Then I lost them so bad because I figured they were right down the road, right down the carpet there. No, I lose them. I had to fucking call them to find out where the hell they were. They just kept scooting.
I didn't know that I had that effect on people.
The pull that Delta has. Now you know, my man. Back to PAPW. You have this nice little run, and all of a sudden, you are now the King of Paradise, which there hasn't been very many. So I feel in Paradise Alley Pro specifically, that's kind of like an honor to be a king in a Paradise Alley, and you're wearing it with pride. But you've run into one, you know what? He's probably going to kill me for this, but I'm just going to come out right and say it. You've run into one jackass, Danny Adam, who felt like he thought he was the rightful king to that by losing because he lost. And he thought that he could just maybe grab that shit. And, he's a cheater. He's got some weird ways and all of that good shit. Now he's in possession of your crown. Take us, the fans, on a ride of that night, because I've been curious on what is Nick Delta going to do now.
Yeah, to backtrack real quick for the King of Paradise tournament, last year it was down to the night where it was the semifinals and then the finals. And I know that I believe Kenny Roberts was in the tournament originally, and he was slated to be in the semifinals, but he was injured. So I was thrown in his place. And so part of that was, all right, got to do this and try and make Kenny happy. And I wound up beating Andrew Bivens, I believe, that semifinal, that one. And then after that, the Firm came out and attacked me. Tried to weaken me for the finals, which Elijah Six wound up getting to the finals that night. But I got revenge on him. I beat him, became the King of Paradise. And then, fast forward to the most recent alley fights that I did this year. I had a match against Danny Adam, and I've been running a little down on my luck at PAPW recently up to that point. And Danny cheated to win and beat me, and then stole my crown. And I'm not happy about it. And he still has that in his possession. He's claiming now that he's the king of paradise. And once this whole isolation stuff is over and wrestling comes back, I'm not gonna have choice words for Danny Adam. I'm just gonna go after him. I'm gonna beat the crap out of him in front of everybody and take my crown back.
Yes.
Because that crown's mine.
It is yours because you're the true heir of the king of paradise. You are the king of paradise.
There's an empty spot on my shelf in my room where the crown used to sit, and I'm looking at it every day, and I get upset with myself that it's not there.
You know what? Just grab a picture off a face page of your liking of Danny Adam and just draw like eyebrows and a mustache and make it funny and just, just saying.
I might do it. That's a good idea. I might take that into consideration.
It'll be healing for not having the crown there. You can just point and laugh. Could be healing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I'm sure when we do get back, that's definitely one of your top things to do once we come back from all of this mess. Get in the ring, get that crown back. You shouldn't even have to get in the ring. The higher brass, you, my friend, as the king, should be talking to the higher ups at Paradise Alley and making some shit happen, because you shouldn't even have to fight for that crown back. If you have to, I don't even know yet, because we have no clue what's going on yet.
Well, I've been a fighting king for so long, and I would want to keep that going.
Okay.
So definitely would want to get in the ear of the higher ups though, and tell him, hey, Danny Adam, I want him, and I want my crown back.
Yeah, absolutely. Because let's all be honest, he looks ridiculous with that crown on. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the crown and the gas mask, like, come on, man.
No, the beaming green, it doesn't go with the purple, the regal purple. It doesn't go with it at all. Just saying.
Exactly.
But now, what else? Because Nick Delta, you don't only run in Paradise Alley. You've got other things, other places. Sometimes you're, we like you. Sometimes we don't like you. What else do you have your sights on when this is all done besides that crown? Or is there anything else on the table and the crown is your only focus right now?
Well, yeah, there's other stuff I want to do. I want to get on a regular basis with Northeast Wrestling. Because as I've said before, I've done a few matches for them in the past, but I want to try and get myself on a regular basis with them. Okay. I want to get out more to the Western Mass area. I've done Western Mass Wrestling, Pioneer Valley, and Blitzkrieg as well. So I want to go out there more. And I want to wrestle. I want to go to more states. I wrestled in New Jersey last year for Northeast as part of a battle royal. Nice. But I also want to go back to Canada. So I went up there in November. I wrestled outside of Montreal for LDDC, which is La Descente du Coude Pro Wrestling. I had a lot of fun up there, and I really want to go back.
You're not the first one to say, I want to go back to Canada to wrestle. What is going on in Canada? I don't know a whole lot about Canadian wrestling. I mean,
yeah.
I know every place is different, but is it a different vibe fan-wise? Is it a different vibe the way you have to wrestle your opponent? Or is it just in general, it's just totally different than what we're used to in the States? Because I know... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's totally different. I mean, you hit it on the head right there. It's totally different from what it is in the States, at least in my opinion, because where I was in Quebec, which is a lot of French Canadian people. In Canada, there's a lot of French-speaking people, and myself, my family background is 100% French Canadian, and so I grew up like I was used to hearing my grandparents speak French to each other every now and then, and that was my first time in Canada in general, so it was a little like nostalgic thing for myself when I went up there.
That's cool.
And as I was wrestling, it's the whole crowd the entire night. It's at this like. What you would compare up there, it's like a Royal Canadian Legion Hall would be like a VFW over here. And so that, again, another intimate setting right on top of the action. And everyone was yelling at me in French. and I thought it was the best thing ever. As I go up there, and I was a heel going in there. There's one old man in a Montreal Canadiens sweater just yelling at me the entire time, and I had a Bruins shirt on during the match because of the
Of
rivalry.
course. Of
Yeah, so
course.
I just kept yelling at him in English, and he would yell at me in French. But I knew a little bit of French too from like my dad,
Oh,
so I
that's
would
awesome.
yell a few things at him, and just it was unreal. Just I loved it. It was so much fun.
That sounds like an amazing time, man. I wouldn't understand a damn thing. I mean, I've been to Lucha Libre shows, and only like me and my dad and maybe one or two others are the only English speaking ones in there. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. I have no clue.
Exactly.
Still had a blast though. Didn't even matter. I had a
Yeah.
blast.
And when I went there too, the locker room was very welcoming, and it was a little surprising for me. Like I kind of knew that there were a lot of people in Canada are bilingual because they know both French and English primarily, and I think I'm assuming that especially in Quebec, like they must teach English in their schools, so you're ready not just in Quebec or like in other parts of Canada where they speak English, but if you travel outside of the country and you go to other parts of the world where English is the predominant language spoken,
Mhm.
so that way they can carry a conversation with somebody. But just it surprised me a little bit with how many people in the locker room on that show were bilingual, and it was really cool. I felt really welcomed up there.
Nice. Sounds like a great time. Those are the kind of shows that you're walking in with a question mark because you've never been there. You don't know who's working and stuff like that or whatever. And then when you come out of there pleasantly surprised like that, it's just got to make for an amazing event, you know?
Mm, absolutely.
Now, the character Nick Delta, you don't know where it's going because we don't know what the future brings for Nick Delta or anybody. But do you see this character kind of driving for a little bit? And are you looking to stay in wrestling long term, or do you have a goal set where, like, you know what, if blah 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 isn't done by blah blah blah, then you know what, I might hang up the boots. Do you have a goal set, or are you just going to kind of venture with this wrestling thing?
The main goal that I have set is just to try and get out to as many places as I can and get regular bookings with them, and hopefully growing myself to
Okay.
travel more with it. And with the character, kind of rolling with it right now, but also making some tweaks to it down the road just to freshen it up.
Hmm.
Um, and just maybe switch up my look a little bit. Right now, because of quarantine and everything being closed, I haven't had the chance to get a haircut. So my hair is growing out right now, but not by my choice. Um, so we might see what happens with that. I might have some ideas for switching up the gear a little bit down the road too, and just trying to do a different look for myself. But
Well,
just seeing what
it's
I can
funny
roll
you,
with.
yeah, because it's funny you say long hair because I don't know if you know who Jimmy Mees is, but if you don't, you know, kind of, he's a brute. He's kind of like a bodyguard guy, but just likes to kill people, kind of
Mm.
guy. But he's very, you know, spiky hair or kind of, you know, really low cut. He's got this thing going on. He says he looks like Jay Bricks. Oh my god! Oh my god! I almost pissed myself when I first saw that. It was hilarious. Yeah, because you know we can't get to the barbers, but me, I don't. My hair don't even fucking grow back. I just put a hat on and I call it a day. You know, I mean, I'm getting a little older up there. Mr. Delta, you, my friend, you have been amazing tonight. Being open, being sharing with everything from your character. We talked about referee and doing the old Sully sack spot, which I'll never forgive you for. I hate you for that. Uh, but the journey that you've taken us on with the different characters, and it doesn't even matter if the different characters, just being Delta alone has been a ride in its own. And I thank you so much for the journey in wrestling you've been taking us on. And I can't wait to see more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast with this.
Yeah, man. You know, they just don't know what to expect from me when I invite them on. But I think we had a good time tonight, kids. We had Ala Ding Ding. Okay, we didn't have a total good night. I'm sure you're familiar with Ala Ding Ding through Paradise
I
Alley Pro.
have faced the pyramids of power before. Yes.
He and Aladdin was a total camel's ass to me. Okay. Uh, they were jackasses to me, but that's okay. We still had fun. But we had that, and then we had Nick and I don't want to say his last name wrong. So I call him referee Nick Knox. Nick Cart. See, I'm gonna say it
Oh, Nick
anyways.
Kachiri.
Yeah, thank you. Oh,
Yes.
oh my God, I hate saying it wrong. And then we topped the night off with the King of Paradise. F you, Danny Adam, because that's not your crown. The King of Paradise, Nick Delta. So, boys and girls, we had such a great night tonight. And this was stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very royal, still King of Paradise, my very royal special guest, the King of Paradise himself from PAPW and many other places. Nick Delta, thank you, my friend, for spending the time with us, the fans.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Don. Like I said before, you've been with me since day one, been one of my first fans, and I appreciate it. Every time I see you anywhere, like it's always a good time.
I cannot not hug you. I don't care if I got to boo you or not. I got to find a corner to hug you in because I just love seeing you. What a fun ride we had, man. Well, it's 10. Dude, you talked to me for an hour. How did you stomach me for that long? Holy crap.
I guess it just the conversation was just flowing. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh man, this has been a pleasant evening. Please stay safe, and I hope you and your fam, you just, stay healthy, get through this whole King COVID thing, and we're gonna see you on the flip side at the King COVID. We're gonna see you on the flip side of this whole bullshit, and see you at the arena. I can't wait to see King of Paradise kick the shit out of Danny Adam to take that crown back. That's gonna be a blast.
Absolutely. And real quick, for anyone out there who might be wondering where to find me,
oh yeah, I am so sorry. I'm
Oh yeah, no. I was gonna lead into it anyways.
No, thank you. Oh my God, yeah. I'm so stupid.
No, it's all good. But I have a Facebook page, search at the Nick Delta. It's page is currently under maintenance right now, but it's still it'll be back up and running again. But you can still try and find it. Also on Twitter and Instagram at the Nick Delta. Nice, short and sweet.
Hey, that's the way we like it, because we need it nice and short and sweet so we can find that, and I'm like, hey, where's Nick Delta page? I can't find it. And you're like, hey man, it's right there. And I go, oh shit, yeah, my bad. So just type up Nick Delta. You can't miss it, man. I don't know how I did. So look them up, check them out, become a fan. When we get away from this shit and get back to the arenas, you gotta come watch him kick Danny Adams' ass, because it's gonna be awesome.
Yes, it will. It'll be very, very fulfilling for me once that happens.
Don Kincaid stirring the pot with the king himself, Nick Delta. My man, thank you so much.
Thank you.